Hey everyone, it's Kothis. I hope you are all enjoying Lightfall. I've got a lot to cover today and I really want to get back to playing, so let's jump right in. In this video, we'll be covering what you can expect from a content standpoint, the seasonal loop, new weapons and gear, as well as some major changes that have come to the game, and even more. From a content standpoint, we're still really early on, obviously, and we're still in that honeymoon phase, but I think I've got a good idea of what we can expect. The campaign has 8 missions, and don't worry, I'm not going to talk about it at all, but you should definitely go play it. Let me know what you think. There's a normal and a legendary mode, just like the Witch Queen. I ran it with one other player and there were a couple spots that tripped us up, but most of it wasn't too bad on legendary. And if you do decide to run it on legendary, you get a free set of 1770 gear that will really help you skip a lot of that power grind. You'll also get a pretty nice stat rolled exotic, one of the new ones, at the end of the campaign. And the campaign takes place on a brand new destination on Neptune called Neomuna, one of the coolest looking areas in all of Destiny. The city is just beautiful. There's a lot of thought put into it. The puka ponds and the diamond sand beach are some of my favorites. It really just sets this place apart. I did enjoy the Throne World last year, but it still felt familiar and hive-like. Something about this is just very, very different. It's a full-on city. It's alive. It feels cool. It's like a functioning area, and I really can't wait to figure out what secrets it has. Also, with Lightfall, we obviously get a brand new subclass, Strand. I've only played on Titan so far, but I really like it. It's a really creative concept that is just genuinely fun to play. The grapple feels very smooth, and everything about it just works. I obviously don't have the subclass fully unlocked yet. That won't be made available until, I believe, after the raid. So I haven't made any like super crazy powerful builds or anything, but looking at some of the fragments that you can see already, I'm pretty excited to see what I'll be able to do. I've heard some talks that Strand isn't quite as powerful or up to par as some others, but it's been out for 2 days. Like, we haven't had time to make these builds yet, so let's give it a little bit of time, see how it functions. I will say in Crucible, and I can definitely say people will be upset with the massive meta shift, I made some plays that were pretty ridiculous, but all that to say, Strand is a lot of fun. It really does feel so much different to anything that we have now. And speaking of subclasses, we do have some new fragments for all of our light subclasses as well. To keep this video from going on forever, I'm not going to cover them all in detail here. Just go visit Ikora and pick them up. Some of the solar ones are very good. Subclasses also get some new objects, so like Solar gets the fire sprites, Void gets the Void breaches, Arc still has the Arc traces. It just gives us more of that class identity, and each one of these objects does something different and they interact with the subclass in a different way. It is really nice. It replaced Elemental Wells, and I actually really like this a lot better. The seasonal activity, Defiant Battlegrounds, feels a lot like Heist Battlegrounds, but in a good way. The difficulty is scaled the same exact way, so it's not easy content by any means. We're in the EDZ this week, and seeing a pyramid on our home turf is straight up unsettling. Trying not to spoil too much here, but yeah, it's great. A lot better than Catch Crash and Expeditions, that's for sure. Enemy density is good, the bosses feel challenging and engaging, and the environment you're in is really cool. And this leads me to the seasonal loop topic. How does Season 20 work? Well, as usual, we get that weekly episodic style quest that ends around week 8 to 10. This is our way to watch the story happen live and also get some new gear along the way. It seems that we'll mainly be interacting with Queen Mara this season, along with Devrim, who hasn't left the EDZ church in like 6 years, so it's good to see him back in action. And we're finally headed back to the farm for some story progress too. I initially thought that this would be our new helm area, but unfortunately, it will be another year at the helm for anything seasonal gear related. The farm is just some side area that we go to every now and then. As for the helm, we will start at the war table again, just like every other year, and we'll have an upgrade tree that is drip fed to us as we progress through the season. Again, just like normal. They've already addressed feedback on this. Everyone's very tired of this system, and it looks like in Season 22, we might not even have one of these upgrade trees anymore, which will be a welcome change. But on the Helm vendor screen, everything is now condensed into one screen instead of having to swipe between 2 pages like we used to. Umbral engrams and seasonal umbral energy are relics of the past now, thankfully. Instead, we'll have seasonal engrams that are stored right at the helm, so no more running out of engram space. You can actually see how many engrams of every vendor you have now in your inventory. This little slot will tell you what you've got. Engrams now seem to be weighted in a way, with certain engram focusing options costing you more than 1 engram to get what you want. This new engram system extends to other vendors as well. It's not just the seasonal system. As an example, Zavala will now now sell an Adept Nightfall weapon for 4 Vanguard engrams and a few other currency. That's pretty expensive, but we'll get more into those ritual vendors in a little bit. As for the helm stuff, most everything in here should feel pretty similar. Aside from some small changes, it's nothing new. Another new thing in terms of seasonal content though is the removal of currencies like the psychogenic intel, seraph key codes, all that stuff is gone. Basically anything that you'd get from completing seasonal activities and occasionally other activities to use on those chests at the end of the activity, gone. Instead, these have been simplified into seasonal keys, with this season's being Defiance keys. Defiance keys this season are used to open the chest at the end of Defiance Battlegrounds. It's automatically consumed when you open that chest. That'll give you some extra loot, some engrams as well. It's just a little easier to understand. You know exactly where you have to take these keys, and they can drop from any activity. You don't need to have any helm upgrades either to get them. They'll just drop by playing the game. Using these keys can get you seasonal armor, so any of the Queen's Wrath weapons or armor, which looks sick by the way. The black and red kind of gives me that Wrath of the Machine raid vibe, but yeah, the TLDR of the seasonal loop is to play the game, earn some Defiance keys, go to Defiant Battlegrounds, open the chest at the end, and get your loot, which will get you seasonal gear and engrams. Of course, do the story as well as it comes out, and that's it. It's pretty simple for Season 20's gameplay loop. Let's talk about the Battle Pass really quick. Again, nothing really new in terms of function here, but I gotta say, I like the Battle Pass exotic a lot. It's called the Verglass Curve, and it's really cool. It's a stasis bow. So basically how it works is as you get kills, you'll gain more arrows to your hip fire, with each arrow turning into a stasis crystal, and it caps out at 5. I was using this last night without the catalyst or anything in strikes, and I was having a blast. Bungie has a really hard time missing the mark with exotic bows. They're all pretty awesome and unique. You'll definitely love this one while using stasis, especially Titans. It's just another way to get more stasis crystals on the field, which is what we like to do. The seasonal ornaments, also amazing as usual. This is what the Last Wish armor set should have looked like in my opinion. It's really cool. We've also got a few exotic quests that I have not done yet, but will be doing as soon as I'm not making videos. These weapons are the Final Warning Strand Sidearm, the Deterministic Chaos Void LMG, and the Winterbite Heavy Stasis Glaive. The first time seeing a glaive in a heavy slot, it looks pretty cool. The weapons do look good and interesting, but I'll have to wait to give my full opinion until I actually get them and test them out. Season 20 also does give us 2 new exotic armor pieces per class. Both of the Titans exotics are really awesome. I went with the new Strand leg armor, the Abeyant Leap for Titan, and it's made countering unstoppable champions a lot of fun. It's really easy to do. You just pop your class ability and it stuns an unstoppable. It's awesome. But I really do want to try out that stasis helmet, which improves the Diamond Lance. Really curious to see how that works. I haven't messed around with the other classes yet. I'm still just on my Titan. I literally have not had time, but I'll get there. We also have the Root of Nightmares raid launching on March 10th, which is where I plan to spend a significant portion of this season. Can't wait for this. Raids are my favorite. Talking about it is making me wish that time could skip forward a couple weeks so I could play it. How many of you guys are going for a day 1 raid clear? I'm curious. Let me know in the comments. We also have a new strike. It's called the Hypernet Current. It's on Neomuna and has to be one of the most visually stunning strikes ever, as it takes place within the Vex network. It really gives off that Season of the Splicer vibe. I've only run it once on the regular difficulty. Obviously it's not the Nightfall this week, so no comments yet on how it performs on a Nightfall difficulty, but it looks great. Got some changes to the tower and our ritual vendors again. I'm trying to keep this as spoiler free as possible, so we'll just move on. Zavala got the vendor 3.0 treatment, giving you the ability to now focus normal Vanguard weapons, Nightfall weapons, and even Adept Nightfall weapons during the week that Adept weapon is available. But focusing the Adept weapons is super expensive. It's 4 Vanguard engrams and a whole bunch of other currencies that's going to take you quite a while to save up, so don't expect this to be your main method to farm these Adept weapons. As usual, you'll unlock items as you level up each vendor, with Vanguard, Crucible, and Gambit giving us the new Ecliptic Distaff, an adaptive solar glaive, as a new ritual weapon from this season. We also have the normal custom ornament unlocks at each vendor once we reset twice and make it to the end. It'll give it a little bit more of that personalized look, and in my opinion, these like Gambit, Vanguard, and Crucible ornaments are some of the most unique looking ones. It really sets it apart. As for shaders, we get the Vanguard Constancy, the Crucible Horizon, and Gambit Gleam, all by getting to rank 7. One thing new at Shaxx and the Drifter is they will now let you focus Legacy, Crucible, and Gambit gear, which is not something I was expecting, but that's pretty cool. If you want these looks for transmog or just want to complete your collections, you can go pick up this armor anytime. Ada also got a minor tweak. She's obviously no longer the mod vendor, but is instead fittingly the Legacy shader vendor. You now have a reason to go and check her inventory. She's going to be selling really cool shaders that haven't been obtainable in years, so make sure you keep up with that. And of course, she still does have the standard bounties used for transmog stuff, so that did not change at all. And what would a Destiny expansion be without lots of new weapons to go for? Less of them are craftable, which is good. You have more of a reason to actually grind out random rolls. I believe there are less items to craft this season. I'm not quite sure, but it still seems like we have a lot of weapons to craft and get tons of patterns for, so I don't know. But right now we've got access to the Neomuna cyber themed set, the Queen's Wrath weapon set, and 2 more of the opulent weapons. These are the shotgun and the class specific swords. I really like the look of the Neomuna weapon set. They're awesome. They kind of glow. We get a few strand weapons thrown in there to craft as well. And starting March 10th, when the Root of Nightmares raid drops, we'll have access to craft more of those weapons as well. Keep in mind that the Root of Nightmares raid will drop the adept weapons like normal, but these weapons will have enhanced traits. So that's what I'm saving all of my spoils of conquest for. I think I'm going to shoot for going for the adept weapons instead of crafting. Like usual, we've got a few random and out of place world drops as well. Nothing too exciting from what I've seen, but I do want to release a video going over all the new origin traits and the regular traits I'm personally going for every new weapon. Anyway, as usual, we do get 1 to 2 new ritual weapons for each of those ritual vendors. The new Vanguard weapon this season is the Nameless Midnight Precision Frame Scout Rifle. This is an awesome weapon from the very early Destiny 2 days. It can drop with a new trait called Kinetic Tremors, which will create an AoE blast when you do sustained damage to a single enemy. This is showing up on a couple other kinetic weapons. This is that kinetic specific trait that they were talking about. So I haven't tested it yet, but it seems pretty cool. We also get 2 returning Nightfall weapons, both with reprised traits. We get the Buzzard Adaptive Kinetic Sidearm and the Swarm High Impact Arc LMG. Both of these will obviously drop as adept variants when completing the Grandmaster Nightfalls, but we won't get those until 6 weeks from now. The new Crucible weapon is the Autumn Wind, a rapid fire kinetic pulse rifle. For trials, we get 2 new weapons, one of which being an aggressive strand SMG, the Immortal, that can have the new Hatchling trait on it. Hatchling is what I'm going for pretty much all the new strand weapons. It spawns a threadling on every headshot kill. This is going to be insane. Astral Horizon is the second trials weapon. It's an aggressive frame kinetic shotgun. Both of these weapons can be adept if you go flawless and if it's on the correct week that weapon is dropping. Iron Banner also has a couple returning weapons making their way back with new traits. The aggressive kinetic sniper Bite of the Fox and Joram's Claw. It's the adaptive solar pulse rifle which can get incandescent. And to wrap up our new and returning ritual weapons, Gambit brings us the Trust Precision Solar Hand Cannon back to the game, which I believe is one of 2 hand cannons that can roll with incandescent. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. All right, let's talk about some other changes, starting with crafting. First, the only red border weapons that will drop are weapons that have the ability to be crafted. I can't tell you how many times I got people confused. They were asking me why these weapons were dropping, why they're not getting pattern progress for random weapons. Yeah, now it's just weapons that can be crafted, so very easy to understand that system. You can also immediately extract that pattern. You don't have to complete any deep sight pattern. That objective is completely gone from the game. Resonant elements have also been removed as a currency entirely, so it's a little bit easier to craft stuff now. You'll instead be using Glimmer, Legendary Shards, Enhancement Cores, and Prisms to craft stuff for the most part. And for now, as the game stands, you still do need to use Resonant and Harmonic Alloy for upgrading the frames, and Ascendant Alloy for getting those enhanced traits, if that's something you want to do. But at some point in this year, even some of those materials will be sunset as well. So I think we're just going to continuously get kind of like a crafting overhaul as we progress through the year to make it just a little easier for everyone to do. And the last thing on crafting is we can expect expect to see some sort of upgrading standard weapons into weapons with levels and enhanced traits too, but we'll have to wait a season or two to see that in action. It's not out yet. Mods also got a massive overhaul, but I'm not going to go in depth in this video because I already did an overview video on all those changes made to the previous system. In my opinion, this is a much simpler system that more players will be able to utilize and master. It removed a lot of the unnecessary complexity, but it still kept it to where build crafting is fun and rewarding and unique. I'll put a link to that video here if you do want to check that out. And finally, Lightfall also brought us the new Journey tab with the Guardian Ranks system. This is designed to show you exactly what you should be focusing on when playing the game, and your Guardian rank will reset each season, giving you a new set of objectives to complete every time. Ranks 1 through 6 will not be reset as far as I can tell because they are related to stuff outside the season. Anything rank 7 to 11 is seasonal specific, so that's kind of showing your seasonal mastery. And your Guardian rank is actually the number that you see next to everyone's name now. It's no longer your battle pass rank that's like 10,000. Overall, I think I like the Guardian rank system. It's a good addition that kind of lets people know what they should be doing. I do kind of wish it didn't reset every season. I think a number just kind of continuously going up would be cool. Destiny has a very bad reputation, rightfully so, for throwing people into a giant world where they are virtually given zero direction. So this is a welcome change overall. We also have some UI changes where stuff was kind of moved around into different menus, but it's not too bad. You should be able to figure out where everything is. And those are the main updates I've got for you this season. As mentioned, more videos are on the way. It's very tough to play the launch of a season or expansion and get videos out in a timely manner. So bear with me. I'll get some good videos out, I promise. If you're looking for help, as always, join the Discord, and I will see you in the next video.